It's October the 16th, and welcome inside the Sports Lodge. Joey Chapman, John Lodge with you as always. And let's start with some football this week, John. We have all four big sports to get into, but let's start with the behemoth, the giant, the juggernaut that is the NFL. And if you weren't glued to your TV last night watching Aaron Rodgers in the fourth quarter, I feel bad for you because that was a comeback to remember.
Oh, the fourth quarter, man. What about the first quarter? 31 points. Like, the Green Bay Packers scored more points in the first quarter last night than they did all total the entire season so far in every first quarter. So they were out. Both teams were outstanding. I got to tell you something, man. When Jimmy G went down, there is no way Kyle Shanahan thought that C.J. Beathard had this in him. I mean, I get that he was a little bit rougher on the edges still, but there's a lot of potential there to be invested in the 49ers. But yeah, the maestro doing it again. Hey, Aaron Rodgers just orchestrating what he needs to do, and I can't believe it went down to 6 seconds. Like, I can't believe they let him throw that ball again. I was freaking out. It was like, you guys have no timeouts. Mason Crosby's gonna have no time to get out there and kick the field goal.
I know, and he's so cocky too, right? He's like, oh, one more play, one more play. And then he gets it. Like, he just throws the ball away, kills it all the way down to 3 seconds, and lets Crosby do his thing. And Mason Crosby, with a bounce back week to remember, basically the worst kicking week I can remember 2 weeks ago, and steps up, has a good game, hits the winner, hits a long one. And, phew, Johnny, that was my lock of the week, and that absolutely scared the crap out of me. When you're in the second quarter and all of a sudden San Francisco's has 24 points on the board, and you're sitting there like, holy shit, C.J. Beathard, you brought it up, Johnny. Did that throw he made to Marquise Goodwin all the way down the field where he hits him in stride like 50 yards down? That thing was absolutely gross. And hey, you said it. I don't think C.J. Beathard's ever going to be the option ahead of Jimmy G. But goddamn, he was played pretty good last night, and it's a tough loss for Kyle Shanahan and company. But Aaron Rodgers, man, he's just such a monster. It's hard to even put into words how good that guy is in the last 2 minutes of a football game.
Yeah, we could sing the praises of Aaron Rodgers all day long. Everybody's heard it, but you brought it up, Mason Crosby. I got to hand it to him. I think, that's it. The win is on Aaron Rodgers. You don't get down there without your QB1. But player of the game for me, it's got to be Crosby, and assist to head coach McCarthy, because in a year where kickers have been just horrible in the NFL and coaches and general managers have been quick to get rid of them, he stuck with his dude. He was quoted saying that it does not faze him. Mason Crosby has been good through his whole career, and he's going to stick with this guy. And Crosby, he paid him back for that vote of confidence, man. He had a fucking hell of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not very often post-game you see Aaron Rodgers waiting to be interviewed, but that was the case yesterday when you had to talk to Mason Crosby. It was
wow.
It was just one of those games for the kicker, and that doesn't happen very often, but kickers are people too, John, and we have to remember that. Let's get into your picks from the weekend, and it was a bit of an up and down weekend. You go 2-1 out of 3, not bad. Let's start with the biggest surprise. Let's start with the one. Let's start with the negative. Jacksonville getting blown the fuck out by Dallas in Dallas, 40-7. And if you look at the stats after this game, John, Dak Prescott didn't throw very well. Zeke Elliott didn't run very well. But somehow that was enough to just completely shut down this Jacksonville offense. And Blake Bortles looked absolutely inept on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Cole Beasley with 2 touchdowns. Cole Beasley of all people.
I know, right?
And Zeke with a rushing touchdown, Dak with a rushing touchdown, Dak only throwing for 184 yards. If you were to look at the stats, you were like, yeah, but what'd the other team do? And Blake Bortles didn't even put up 150 yards, Joey. 149. Just a horrible game. And the Jacksonville defense, which is normally it's still the number one defense in the league. Even after getting blown up like that, they're still, in my mind, the number one defense in the league. They got their asses handed to them by a Dallas Cowboys team that really hasn't done much to anybody all year.
No, and That was the biggest surprise. Is Blake Bortles, the guy who made every throw week 2 against the Patriots, who somehow just was dropping dimes in there, can't complete a pass against the Dallas secondary. It's not like Dallas is great, man. And yeah, you brought it up, Johnny. Just an absolutely joke of a performance for Blake Bortles. And my biggest takeaway from this game is Jalen Ramsey post game, Johnny. I don't know if you heard it, but basically he said nothing. This is a guy.
Yeah, I heard it. It was funny.
This is a guy who talks trash every week. He's in the face of every quarterback receiver he plays against, and then what the hell is he gonna say? He doesn't, and it's just he doesn't say anything. And to me, I think it proves how fake Jalen Ramsey is. Like he's just talking trash when it's convenient to talk trash for him and that good defense. But as soon as they put up a terrible performance, get a 40 spot put up on him, Jalen Ramsey's got nothing to say. What an absolute joke.
The reporter in the scrum who looked at Jalen Ramsey and asked him the question, "What's it like getting your ass handed to you?" You're my hero. So
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear the question.
Oh yeah, go back and listen to that question. The reporter legitimately, word for word, asked him that. What's it like getting your ass handed to you?
Yeah, that's the Dallas media for you, I guess, huh?
But I'm waiting for one of the reporters to come and be like, "Okay, so are we going to focus on football now, Jalen? You know, maybe not focus on hockey. Don't chirp hockey players anymore, right? You can't do your own." I'm waiting for a hockey player to come out right now. Like, I'm waiting for Evander Kane or something. Because Evander Kane was chirping him hard when Jalen Ramsey came out and said he could make an NHL roster. He had a horrible game. If I was Evander Kane, I'd be all over that on Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm petty as shit, but that'd be me. I'd be all over this dude who was chirping me.
Oh, I don't blame you at all, Johnny. Let's move on here to a game that I was really hoping would be a competitive football game, a game that I thought was going to be a potential AFC wildcard matchup in Tennessee-Baltimore. But this game really just turned into a gong show as another blowout, 21-0. Baltimore, I believe they had double-digit sacks on Marcus Mariota in this one. If not, it was awfully close, and Tennessee just can't get anything going as they put up a goose egg offensively. Johnny, you called this one. You had Baltimore. I took Tennessee. I feel real dumb about that now. The Ravens they continue to march on here, Mr. Lodge, and a solid victory and a big one against a team that has a winning record in the AFC.
Yeah, it's more my disbelief in the Titans and Marcus Mariota than my belief in the Ravens that led me to choose them this week. But 11 sacks on Marcus Mariota. So, yes, double digits. He's seen the ground more than he's seen anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really blame the QB for all of that, though, right? Like, 11 times? Really, line? Like, you're letting them through 11 times. I'm sorry.
Wow, quarterbacks got to throw the ball away. Like, you got to see that coming and get it out of your hands, too, right?
Like, you got to protect your guy, too.
Absolutely.
The reason Tom Brady, not that Tom Brady isn't, Marcus Mariota and Tom Brady are nothing alike, but, like, the reason why Tom Brady has a lot of success is because no one touches him. No one gets to him. The line is good enough to keep people away from him. And when people get to him, he's not successful. So...
Right. And he's smart enough to throw the ball away when he sees the pressure coming, right? Like, he's just not going to take the sack.
That's a key part. But that could come with experience, though, too, right?
Well, shit, you think Marcus Mariota would be tired of getting dummied by defensive linemen at this point? It's year 3 or 4.
Right?
Yeah, right? Like, he's hurt every week. You think he'd fucking learn to throw the ball away and not get his ass kicked every week. But Tennessee falls to 500, and Baltimore gets a 4-2 record through 6 weeks. All right, John, let's jump over the pond where a game, well, it was actually quite disappointing. Another blowout, really. The 3 games that I thought were going to be good games that we decided to pick all ended up in blowouts, and Seattle just puts a beat down on Oakland in Wembley Stadium, 23-7. And I don't know, John. John Gruden just looks so lost out there. It's unbelievable. I don't know what the hell is going to happen in Oakland, but I think bad things are going to happen before it turns around.
So John Gruden was the quarterback whisperer, but not anymore. Apparently, him and Derek Carr can't get on the same page. And that may be because John Gruden doesn't believe in Derek Carr as the future of the Oakland Raiders. I heard an interesting take when I was driving around that maybe John Gruden seen that the Oakland Raiders were going to be very, very bad and they had a 2-year window before they were going to move to Vegas where they could rebuild. So he decided to get a jump on that and trade away Khalil Mack. And there are rumors that he's not done. He could be trading away Crabtree, which would be huge.
You mean Cooper?
Cooper, sorry, not Crabtree.
Yeah.
My apologies. Their young wideout. And continuing this strip down and looking to rebuild for the Vegas years. I don't think it's going to go over well with the public, but John Gruden's got $10 million in 10 years. He's got a lot of zeros behind his name. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he will right now. To me, I've heard that take as well, John. To me, that's revisionist history. That's taking John Gruden off the hook here. He came in and said, we're going to be a competitive team. We're going to throw the ball. We're going to, he said all the right things about Derek Carr and company, Marshawn Lynch. I think it's everybody just almost going too easy on Gruden. If that's the way you want to say, oh, he's just taking it easy for the first 2 years, I don't know. All his comments at the beginning were, if I'm not winning, get rid of me. I don't think this guy came out of the booth where he was making sheets on sheets on sheets just to get his ass kicked every week in the NFL. Look, I know he's making 10 mil a year, but if you're going to say now John Gruden is playing the long-term game 6 weeks into the year, I think you're just changing your opinion just because Oakland's bad. I don't really agree with it at all. I think John Gruden's out there trying to win football games, and they're just not doing it.
Yeah, they're losing a lot. Why don't we move on to probably the game of the week, and it's the game everyone was looking forward to. It's Sunday Night Football. It was the Patriots versus the Chiefs, the young phenom versus the GOAT, and it was a tale of two Pat Mahomes. The first half, he didn't have it. He didn't have any confidence. Then he made that huge play, and it was like the real Pat Mahomes came back, right? And it was game on, and the second half was, that was a horse race, Joey, right to the finish. But I got to tell you, 3 minutes or less, in a tie game, I'll take Tom Brady every day.
Yeah, you can't give him the ball back, man. You just can't do it, guys. And that game was stressful from the tip. You're actually absolutely right about Patty Mahomes. You saw him miss some wide open receivers in the first half. And I think that really saved the Patriots because I don't know if they would have been able to keep up if Patty Mahomes somehow found a way to put 14 up in the first quarter, if he was able to just hit all his receivers because they were open too. It's not like the Patriots did a great job covering them. Patrick Mahomes had wide open guys and just missed them in that first half, but he certainly didn't in the second. He was an absolute monster, and it was a lot of fun to watch, but you just can't give Brady the ball back with that much time. You knew he was going to walk down the field and score. All of a sudden, Gronk shows up out of nowhere, and he just gets his 80 yards, a couple catches, and marches down the field. It was a real domination. I feel like you really saw the difference between Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski in this game, John, where Kelce was glorified. He had a couple good catches, a couple good plays, but you saw Gronk in there inside, blocking on that run game that was dominant. You saw him doing everything on the field, and then when it came to clutch time, he was there with some big catches and put this thing away for the Patriots. It's not very often that we get a Sunday night game with all this hype and all the chatter around it that actually lives up to expectations, but we certainly got that on Sunday. 43-40 for the first time in NFL history, and how can you not love all those points?
Yeah, man, that was definitely the game of the week, and I mean, we'll see Mike go down as game of the year. It was entertaining the entire way. I gotta tell you, I give it to Gronk, man. He was definitely more important to his team than Kelce was to hit. I could see the Chiefs being able to win easier without Kelce, and the Patriots have to fill in more gaps without Gronkowski. And Gronk just creating memes and GIFs all over the place with that dirty stiff arm in the first half.
Gross.
Get off of me, son. I got to go a little bit further here.
I think that was in the second half, buddy, actually.
Was that the second half? Yeah, either way, just a dirty stiff arm, just nasty stuff from Gronkowski, and gotta love it, man. 4-2 are the New England Patriots on top in the AFC East, so all those haters, you can just go stuff that now.
Yeah, only one defeated team left in football, and that is the Los Angeles Rams, as they beat the Broncos by 3 points. Todd Gurley had 208 rushing yards in that one, because that
Yeah,
guy's just
Jared
an
Goff didn't
absolute
show up at all.
monster. Absolute monster, Todd Gurley is, eh?
Yeah, well, Todd Gurley for sure. I have Gurley in my fantasy, and I was so happy that he got 200 yards and all the
I can only
touchdowns.
imagine
But
the points for you.
I benched Jared Goff, thank God. And Jared Goff provided 7 fantasy points yesterday.
It's not good.
Like, he did absolutely nothing in that game. It was the Todd Gurley show, and thank goodness the Rams had him, because I mean, like, they only won by 3 points, right? So without having the best running back in the game, they don't win this game against the Broncos.
No, they don't, but that's just the depth that they have, right? Is they get Brandon Cooks back from a concussion, and as I know, Cooper Kupp's been banged up as well, but they find a way in Los Angeles. Last on football, John, there was only one real big surprise for me this week, and that was the Bears losing to the Dolphins. I thought this Bears team had turned a corner. The week before their bye, you saw the quarterback's name is just absolutely... Mitch Trubisky, Trubisky throws 6 touchdowns the week before their bye, and then they hit their bye week and come out just flat against this Miami Dolphins team that I think is a lot of smoke and mirrors at 4-2 here, and I really thought that Chicago Bears defense was better than giving up 31 points to the Dolphins. And as a Patriots fan, it makes me a lot less concerned about the Pats-Bears game at 1 o'clock this week.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'd hang this one on the defense of the Bears, not the offense. I mean, look at Trubisky's stats. Yeah. He threw for over 300, 3 touchdowns. He did throw the 1 pick, but, you can't allow 31 points, man. This is the Khalil Mack-led defense. This is that big, strong defense. The dude that had, so many sacks at the pick, had the forced fumble in the first week. Where are you? What's going on? How come all these points are being scored? This is weird. And yeah, the Dolphins sit tied atop of the AFC with the Patriots 4-2, able to scratch this one out by a narrow 3 points, man. Bears really let that one go.
Yeah, to me, it's just the Bears finally giving up so many points. I thought that defense was much better. All right, Johnny, I'm done with football. You got anything else you want to add?
No, let's get out of football. Let's jump into playoff baseball. You know what? 3 things on last night. There was hockey, there was playoff baseball, and there was Monday Night Football. And
it really was a good night.
I was struggling with what to watch, man. I had sports ADD going on. Talking about this baseball game, this was crazy. The Dodgers and we finally had a pitching duel in the NL. And it was Julio Chacin and Bueller. I don't know what his first name is. We'll call him Ferris.
Yeah.
Ferris did real good for the Dodgers, man. He went. He gave up a couple runs, but he still pitched into the 7th inning. He had 7 Ks and just a really good game. The Dodgers just were piss poor with runners in scoring position. They couldn't knock anybody in, and yeah, the Brewers are taking advantage of them, man. This is kind of how I thought it was going to go, and we'll see. There's another game going tonight.
Yeah, they go tonight, Game 3.
Game 4.
Game 4, Gonzalez gets the mound for the Brewers, Hill for the Dodgers. Johnny, the thing that surprised me most is just the Dodgers not being able to hit. I really, really thought that their bats would wake up here. They're veteran bats in the postseason that have done this before, right? This team's gone to World Series. They know how to hit. And I figured that they'd be much better, much more patient, and they haven't found a way. And I don't necessarily think this Milwaukee pitching's been great, but the Dodgers just haven't found a way to produce any runs. And in the postseason, that's just certainly not a recipe for success.
Yeah, no, the only one who's really hitting, or only 2 that are really hitting to hit and not just for power, are Manny Machado and Justin Turner. You need your other guys. Grandal is swinging for the fences every time. So is Bellinger, and so is Hernandez. These guys, they need to settle it down, and you got to play small ball to win playoff baseball, man. The Brewers hit a 2-run home run in the 7th inning off the bat of Arcia, but those are few and far between unless, you get the right conditions and you guys are super hot one night. You're more likely to score runs with the small ball in playoff baseball than you are with the long bomb.
And the thing I was most impressed was, I'll admit, this was my third option yesterday on the 3-game flip. I had the Leafs and football as my top two, and then I would flip back over to the baseball game, just because how long the baseball games are.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me
You
too.
can come back to it. But I was around for the Christian Yelich bunt up the third base line, which I thought was just such good baseball, right? Like, it was such a smart play. Turner's playing deep off the bag. Everybody's worried about this Yelich kid. And you know what? I'm just going to get on base. We're going to keep the rotation moving here. And I think that's just the type of small ball things that the Brewers are doing, and it's been really successful, and I think they're going to continue that. I know I had LA at the beginning of the series, and you totally picked Milwaukee, John. I'm starting to lean towards your side here, as Milwaukee's looked really, really strong here, and they try and open up a 3-1 lead here as in Los Angeles tonight, because, you know, as much as I like Rich Hill, the old man's been pitching a long time. He's due for a bad performance here in LA.
I mean, if you get the Rich Hill that I think you're going to get, this is going to be a long performance by him on the mound, and the Brewers are going to have a harder time hitting this dude because he's got a wicked curveball, like a wicked, wicked curveball. If it's on, it's on. But Gio Gonzalez, on the other hand, he's just an opener. He's going to be in there 2 innings. This is going to be a bullpen game.
Yeah.
So
this
is a very gettable game. It's a very, very gettable game for the Dodgers because the Milwaukee bullpen hasn't been that great, save for John Hader and Jeffress in the back end. So it's going to be interesting to see where this one goes. I mean, like, I'm on Milwaukee to win the series, but I think the Dodgers is a very gettable game for the Dodgers. So it's going to be interesting. Before we jump into the next game, taking place a little bit earlier today, I got to ask you, have you seen the Google Assistant ads behind the behind home plate?
Yeah. They've been talking about it. It's weird listening to the American broadcasts because I don't think we have Google Assistant here in Canada. But, like, yeah,
okay.
I see all the annoying shit. What's up?
So when they do a close-up on a right-handed batter, what Google didn't realize is it doesn't say Google Assistant. It says Google Ass. Right behind them, and hashtag Google Ass has been hot across Twitter ever since the start of the NLCS or start of the CS. So yeah, good on you, Google marketing department. Maybe next time we'll get the proper camera angles from people before we make a billboard.
That's funny. I haven't even noticed that, Johnny. That's hilarious.
Just take a look at the trending hashtag Google Ass. It's that
people love a good ass joke. Okay, it's just like the internet just can't help itself. It's like, oh my god, it said ass.
Yeah,
Twitter's just a cesspool.
So let's talk about this ALCS matchup here. The Game 3 going today, 5:00. It's Houston, it's Boston. We got Keiko versus Eovaldi. Boston, I think, is slipping out of this real fast, Joey. Chris Sale just got out of hospital from an illness. David Price gave him a little bit out of the bullpen, but
look like
if they get
start.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Houston can get up in this series and get momentum going their way, I think Boston's just going to fade to black here, and their 112-win season is just going to be a punchline.
Yeah, the starting pitching, always the issue with the Red Sox. Did you hear about Alex Correa's Instagram?
No, I did not.
So he posts on his Instagram story doing a little pregame scouting, and it's the Astros going back-to-back jacks off Eovaldi earlier in the season. I believe he was with another club because the Red Sox picked him up at the deadline, I believe. But yeah, basically they're calling their shot in Houston as Eovaldi went 6-7 on the year. Like, the guy's not a stud. Keuchel's a beast, I think. 11 and 12.
No, 12 and 11.
I know,
374.
He's a real pitcher, and like I like him a lot more than I like Eovaldi. This Houston team is just so deep, and you mentioned Sale coming out of the hospital with an illness. To me, he was the only real hope for the Red Sox. Was he needed to come out, maybe pitch 2, maybe 3 really good games in the series if they were going to have a chance. Just because I totally think Verlander is going to come out and pitch another good one, right? Like, these guys are going to have a real tough time. And look, Boston can hit anybody. They're good enough with their bats. They're deep enough. But Houston is as well. And I like their back end. Look, Houston, I think, has got a real opportunity here, but and they're at home, right? So if you can just win your home games, find a way to get ahead of this Red Sox team, I really like Houston's chances.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an offensive showdown. Keuchel has just as much of the ability to blow up as Eovaldi, so I'm not taking either of these starting pitchers in my daily fantasy today. I think this is going to be a high-scoring. I think the Astros are going to come out on top, but I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be interesting to see, but yeah, I think we're headed towards a Milwaukee-Houston World Series,
which we not what MLB wants, but that's the exact opposite of what Major League Baseball would want out of the if they could pick out
of these four markets. Yeah,
out of these four markets, that's the matchup they don't want. But I think that'd be a pretty good World Series, and I think that'd be pretty cool for fans in Milwaukee. All right, John, let's quickly jump out of baseball, or unless you wanted to pick tonight's games, did you have any interest in picking?
No,
me neither.
I really don't have an inkling towards either one at this point.
No, watch the games.
Like I said, I think both. I think this tonight is open for both teams. Let's just quickly jump into it's
tip-off time, baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say basketball is tipping off tonight. The 76ers are taking on the Celtics in Boston, and that's really the only thing that's. I mean, the Golden State Warriors are playing tonight, but they're going to win, so I don't really want to talk about it.
Well, they're playing OKC, so that'll be a good game.
I think they're going to win anyway.
Well, they probably will, but
I think they'll win big too. I think it's going to be like 120 to like 92 or something. But
John, I have a question for you. I have a question for you. As a Raptors fan, do you feel disrespected about these opening night matchups? Because I kind of do, right? I was just thinking about it. It's like, why
they put the top two teams in each division,
right? Yeah,
or they're looking the pseudo top two teams in each conference are facing off, and I totally think the Raptors are ahead of at least the 76ers.
Right? Like it should be Boston, Toronto in Toronto. They won the Eastern Conference last year, right? Like, well, I understand it. Philly's a big basketball market, but I totally can see the disrespect against the Raptors, but I guess that's nothing new when it comes to the NBA, is it?
Yeah, no, not at all. The Raptors get disrespected all the time. So Raps fans just got to wait one more day. They take on the Cavaliers and the the King's not there anymore. No, it's not the King. It's just Kevin Love. Yeah. Sorry, just Kevin Love and the Cavaliers. Wah wah. Yeah. So hopefully we're looking for a stomping of the Cavaliers by the Raptors or the Kawhi Leonard led Raptors.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get out of basketball, though. There's not really much to talk about. Let's jump right into the sport that matters most, the sport that's dearest to our heart. It is hockey talk time. The Maple Leafs took on the normally feared or used to be feared LA Kings. Now they're just kind of old and slow. And the Leafs,
oh my God.
The Leafs kind of just skated around. I mean, like they had their opportunity. The Kings had their opportunities, but I think the Leafs just outplayed them, and they showed the Kings exactly what they could do. And Austin Matthews continues to score. The Mitch Marner and John Tavares continue to have like that setup. Hyman, Tavares, Marner. That was nasty.
Oh my God, that was gross. Yeah, Johnny. The Los Angeles Kings looked good for about 7 minutes in the second period. They found a way to hem the Leafs. They looked big. They looked strong. And the Maple Leafs just stopped really moving their feet. It was right after the back-to-back terrible penalties on Mitch Marner. Both of those were absolute dog shit penalties. The officiating was terrible last night at the Air Canada Centre.
Yeah, it was almost like they were trying to even it up.
It was.
Like, Toronto's really outplaying them. Let's kind of give LA a thing here.
It was such a fucking joke. It's like Toronto's power play's so good, we can't let them go on the advantage. But they call a ticky-tack slash on Marner and then a one-handed hook on Freddie Gauthier. It was just terrible. And then you have Doughty mugging people out there. That defenseman, Freeland or whatever it is, he was holding and hooking and grabbing. There was so many dirty little cheap holds and grabs that they could have called, but they just didn't. And I thought it was an absolute joke of an officiating performance last night. But Garrett Sparks, to me, was the biggest takeaway from that game, John. Freddie Anderson, mysteriously, in the afternoon, goes on the injury list day to day with a left knee injury. All of a sudden, the Maple Leafs are calling up somebody from the St. John's Growlers.
The most newfie name of all, too, Eamon McAdam.
Eamon McAdam, the guy we got back for Matt Martin at the Islanders in that trade. But Sparks look good, John.
Sparks was beautiful.
To me, he's really scrambly. I don't like watching Garrett Sparks play hockey because it doesn't look smooth. It's always like he's fighting the puck. He's rushing to get in position. And that's the real difference between these elite level goaltenders and these backups. Because that was a lot of Curtis McElhinney, too. McElhinney was scrambly, fighting pucks, just trying to do anything he can to get his body in front of it. And that's basically what Garrett Sparks did last night. He made a couple flashy saves. I did think the glove save in the third period that everybody was going off about was a little overrated because the puck was going 3 feet wide and he just stuck his glove out and grabbed it.
Yeah, he stuck his hand out there.
Yeah. It looked pretty, but it wasn't necessarily going to hit the net. But Austin Matthews gets another couple points as his streak continues, and this Maple Leafs team is just an absolute juggernaut right now, John.
Yeah, literally like a runaway train that can't be stopped. You don't know where it's going to end up. So let's just enjoy the ride while we have it, guys. Being a Leaf fan and just being able to be a contender is just huge, right? Like it feels good. It feels great to talk about. I got an interesting question, and I don't know how you feel about this. Who's more important to your team? Is it Mitch Marner? Or is it Austin Matthews? And I don't mean getting rid of one.
No, I mean who's more important? No, it's Austin. It's for sure Austin. Right? Like, he's the more important player. As much as I love Mitch, right? Austin's the centerman. You saw him out there yesterday against Kopitar every shift. And he looked good. Like, Kopitar didn't shut him down. And
yeah, no. He looked really good. I'm kind of lean to the other side of the fence. Not that I'm at taking anything away from Austin. He is fantastic, and he just keeps proving me day by day that he's just going to get better and better and better. You've got John Tavares though there. So if Austin Matthews were to get injured, right?
Oh God,
I'm not seeing and knock on wood. I'm sitting on a wood chair. Knock on wood that doesn't happen, but I can see the Leafs being able to survive it a little bit more. I think Mitch Marner just creates so much for everybody on the power play one and on the top line with Tavares. Oh my goodness, I don't know what how the Leafs would replace him if he were to get hurt.
Well, see, my thought process here though, John, is Matthews goes down. It's Tavares, Kadri, Lindholm, Gauthier.
And Lindholm's really looked good.
Yeah, on the wing.
No replacement for.
He's looked really good
Matthews, don't get me wrong.
as Kadri's winger. He didn't look as great as the fourth line center, but as Kadri's winger, he's looked really good. So I disagree, and I love disagreeing with you. And that's the fun part. Is just I think the Maple Leafs winger depth is much deeper than the center depth, and Matthews continues to generate more than Mitch Marner has, right? Like, he's just generating more things, and you call that Tavares line the top unit for the Maple Leafs. I would respectfully disagree. I think the top line for the Toronto Maple Leafs is any line Austin Matthews is on. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And I think Babcock thinks it's the same way because he gave him the number one matchup yesterday. He gave him Anze Kopitar, and I wanted to mention this, was before the game yesterday, Drew Doughty hadn't been on the ice for a 5-on-5 goal against. Yesterday he was on for 3. All 3 of them against the Matthews line. And it's absolutely ridiculous.
Did you hear his post-game comment?
No, I didn't. I bet he was a fucking bitch about it, though. I guarantee, was he? Did he whine about it?
Defense wins championships.
Oh, fuck off.
But I guess if you score 7 goals a game, you can win that way, too.
Yeah, you know what, Jowdy? You guys can't score 2 goals a game, so maybe you guys shut the fuck up. The entire time I'm thinking about it, I'm like, God, Drew, you fucking pussy. You could have come to Toronto and been a Maple Leaf, but he decided to stay in LA.
You know what? It's still not out of the question.
No, it is. He signed that $10 million deal.
It's still not out of the question.
He signed that 8-year, $10 million extension in LA. In 8 years, he might come to Toronto, but I don't care about Drew Doughty 8 years from now.
I mean, if the Leafs or if the Kings are interested in a guy named William Nylander, then
Well,
and the Leafs
shit.
could work
We
it
don't
in,
got
then
no cap room for Doughty. No, Doughty's that boat. That boat
I'd
has
fit him in.
sailed.
I'd find a way.
Well,
Okay.
so would I. Shit, the guy. Like as much I love Drew Doughty, I'm talking a lot of shit right now, but like the guy just doesn't shut the fuck up sometimes, and
It's awesome.
maybe he just like he likes the attention that he gets when he rolls through Toronto because he doesn't get it in LA. But,
yeah, he said before the game that the Leafs could really use a guy like Phaneuf right now.
well,
He
they
was
could.
really. Yeah,
I'm not
well,
gonna
he was
lie.
really.
Like Phaneuf would look really good in our top four if you could slide Hainsey down. Like Hainsey's not a top four defenseman, right? So, the last thing I did want to mention though, John, was just Kasperi Kapanen. The guy's a monster.
Oh yeah.
He gets another couple goals or a couple points yesterday, making Willie Nylander sweat a little bit. His speed is just blazing. We see it every game when he gets on his horse and goes. There's not many guys faster than him. And he's starting to look like a real good option there on the Matthews line. And when Willie comes back and signs his deal, I think that can be a real formidable number one line. Nylander, Matthews, Kapanen.
Yeah, if they keep him, right? Like every day that Kapanen puts more points up, the number either stays the same or reduces for Nylander because the number for Kapanen goes up. The number for Kapanen's going up, though. That's what you have to realize. So the Leafs may be more inclined to move off of William Nylander
off the trading.
Kasperi Kapanen can continue. If Kasperi Kapanen can continue the way he's going right now and prove to the Leaf brass that he can actually replace the spot of William Nylander, they will move off of him. If not, they re-sign him, they plug them in, and that line will be deadly. You're right. It would be one of the most, if not the most deadly line in the league. But I can just see, like, you save a little bit of money because you're not going to have to sign Kapanen to the level of deal you'd have to sign Nylander to. So, I don't know. I can see the Leafs front office doing something like that.
Yeah, I can't even fathom the Maple Leafs trading William Nylander. I don't foresee it happening. I don't get why you do it at all. So I will continue to live and die on that bandwagon, but I would like to sign Kasperi Kapanen. I think this is a prime opportunity to sign him to like a 4-year, $12 million deal. Like, just give him a little bit of money, right, and just see if you can.
Yeah, like 3.2.
Yeah, just lock him up for a bunch of years at a low hit while he's riding high. If you can get him to sign it, I think that would be a real good option for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Before we get out of here, John, as we've run a little bit long here, we're already almost at the 40-minute mark. There was one bit of news and notes from around the NHL that I wanted to get your opinion on. The Matheson suspension for basically just being bigger and stronger than Elias Pettersson throws him to the ice, a play that happens basically 100 times a day in a hockey game, but most of the time the guy's not 112 pounds and you just can't throw him like that. He gets 2 games, Matheson gets 2 games for something I've never even heard, this being a suspension, but Matheson gets 2 games from the NHL for unsportsmanlike conduct.
And interference.
Well, okay.
They said and interference.
But I don't really understand
there wasn't interference because Peterson had the puck.
So
right?
The NHL is grasping at straws at this point.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. It was a bad suspension. If the dude didn't end up hurt, it would have never been suspended.
Which I think is terrible, John. I don't think you can be waiting for injuries.
It makes George Parros look like a joke.
Right? It absolutely does. And look, if that's a suspension, then Brad Marchand should have got 10 games for beating the fuck out of Lars Eller, because that was unsportsmanlike too.
I'm okay with him beating the fuck out of Lars Eller now after he opened his stupid mouth.
Lars Eller, that was my biggest thing with Lars Eller and his comments the other day about the Maple Leafs. I'm surprised his jaw isn't still wired shut after Marchand beat the wheels off of him. Like, I don't really understand why that guy opens his mouth at all, but the NHL making this a suspension, and then them using, like, if you're going to wait for injuries to happen and then make suspensions based on injuries, you're really running down a slippery slope, and I really don't agree with George Parros on the NHL player safety. I think they've done a piss poor job to start this season.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why, and his name's escaping me, the Swedish defenseman the Leafs drafted a couple of years ago, the smaller guy. Liljegren. This is one of the reasons why I'm okay with Liljegren not being up in the NHL, because he's not big enough to compete against guys like Matheson, and he would get broken in half like Peterson did. So it shouldn't be Matheson's fault that Peterson's a frail little boy.
And that's exactly what he is, right? He's a boy. He's like,
Yeah.
he's 18, 19. He weighs 130 pounds. Like, the guy's just, he's not a man. And
Yeah.
you're playing
He
against
shouldn't
men.
be in there. Yeah,
And
he
like,
shouldn't have been in
that's
there.
the Vancouver Canucks fault. You're putting him in a position where he's not big enough to be in the league, but you're so desperate and you're so lacking with talent because your organization's been so bad for so long. You're forcing this kid into the lineup. And look, I get it. He's super talented. He's got all the skills to be an NHL player. But the NHL isn't just a skills competition. You have to be big. You have to be strong. And it's not like he's any small, like Johnny Gaudreau's a little guy too. Mitch Marner's a little guy too. But you don't see these things happening to them because they put the work in. And
Yeah,
like,
they're
they don't
tougher
put
too. They're
themselves in
like,
vulnerable positions like this. So
yeah.
I absolutely hate it from the NHL. I get why Canucks fans are furious. I'd be too. But I think it's an absolute fucking joke.
All right, Joey, that's all I got for this week. I want to thank everyone for watching the Sports Lodge pod this week. Make sure to join us Thursday on RiotRadio.ca at noon for the radio show. And, of course, on Friday, we'll be putting up another podcast for you. Anything else, Joey?
No, that's it for me, buddy. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll talk to everybody on Thursday.
Peace.